Well, you read the title, right? The recently released 7th episode of Beastars Season 2 may in fact be its climax. And if the production of this video reaches YouTube in a timely manner, it should be dropping even before the next episode is available for some of you more clandestine anime connoisseurs. But enough of the fluff. My point is that this entry into the series has brought an end to Tem's 19-episode arc, and with that demonstrates in heart-wrenching depth the dark elements of instinct in this world parallel to our own. Beginning right in medias res, the spectacle opens an unsettling visual of an alpaca being hunted through the dark corridors and lecture hall of Cherryton High by a faceless and unnamed predator. This is a strong symbolic introduction to the world of Beastars, one governed by the impulses of its inhabitants, herbivores and carnivores respectively. But I get the feeling that this isn't news to anyone now, is it? What is interesting, however, is that our enigmatic murderer is constructed as a killer without conscience, assumed to have no motive but sheer bloodlust. The surgeon seems at this point to be that there is an overwhelming force of instinct that shapes the lives of these animals. Similarly demonstrated is the unconscious and unstable strength of carnivores. This is further exemplified by the latest episode's opening, in which Tao, a black panther, unintentionally severs an anteater's arm at the elbow. This establishes that carnivores injuring herbivores is not uncommon, maliciously or otherwise. Such is a world where there is no question on the power of one's nature. But on the flip side, Legacy is an embodiment of the total opposite principle of nurture. Through his experiences with aforementioned instinct and a strong determination to conquer it, the Grey Wolf's developed a restraint almost unheard of among the carnivores. Having almost devoured prey of his own, falling madly in love, fighting friends, and vicious lion mobsters, Legacy learns that while instinct may be inevitable, it is not as insurmountable as it might seem. He even channels this so-called devilish luster to reinforce his righteous resolve. And as of yet, it shows, with herbivores and small animals having a very unique trust of him. So much so, in fact, that having been dismembered, the traumatized Kibby refuses help from anyone but Legacy. So as it stands in this point of the story, Legacy represents an active defiance of one's own dark nature. With all the Season 1 exposition out of the way, we arrive at the juiciest tension so far. After it is revealed to Legacy that the identity of Tem's killer is Riz, a gentle-faced spirit bear, the drama reaches a fever pitch, with the showdown all but inevitable. This proves to be premature, as even Legacy lacks the strength to go toe-to-toe with a literal 7-foot grizzly. Luckily, the convenient timed arrival of Pina forces both them to the negotiating table. The truly spectacular part of all this is how Riz reacts and recounts his troubled past. As it turns out, required by law to take what are essentially hormone blockers to keep his strength at a societally safe level, Riz is continually hounded by the side effects and emasculating shame of the drug. Drinking heavily to suppress the pain, and with little in the way of actual support, Riz is ecstatic at the premise of Tem taking to concern over his issue, and they become very close friends. Although, a turning point occurs when the grizzly bear becomes comfortable enough with his own identity that he foolishly, but rightfully in my opinion, decides to stop taking the meds. Confronting the alpaca, spooking him, and then deciding to chase him, the arc reaches a point of no return as the audience is treated to an entirely new perspective and the full details on the opening scene of Tem's devouring. In a sequence of unfortunate and increasingly poor decisions, Tem tries to comfort the shaken bear. His admirable honesty and optimism turns out to have been just another act of playing with fire, as Riz surrenders to his demons and rips him apart in a bloody struggle. Given that media is so saturated with death scenes, soapy and casual, I was still shocked by this display, prompting me to examine exactly what I found so stomach-turning in this particular casualty. Here's what I could figure out. I guess a good starting point would be with the circumstances of this gruesome visual. It would seem to me that because everything that Riz experiences up to his turning is somewhat relatable, the sympathy was definitely there, at least in my case. Watching this well-meaning bear struggling with disenfranchisement and insecurity. However, that feeling is swiftly subverted with Riz's descent into darkness. The knee-jerk reaction is disgust because, as normally socialized animals and viewers alike, such a drastic and sudden betrayal rips away any remaining relatability. What's even worse is how the turn of events is justified. The grizzly callously reconciles to himself that Tem's acceptance of his monstrousness somehow warrants the alpaca's own death, so as to not, quote, let the time spent and memories made with Tem become a mere illusion. It's clear that instead of keeping his grip, his rational mind just comes up with an almost facetious cover for the violence of his instinct, and he clings to every word of it. In short, it's one big cope. After all, as strong as this pathology is on its own as a narrative device, it hits close to home, tying in closely with the phenomena of the real world. Because despite what some of the edgier sociologists may suggest, nature is very much as real as nurture, and as much as you'd wish it not so, it's often much easier to give in to desires and habits than to fight them. But that does not mean you ever stop trying. Alright, if you've made it this far, I hope it's because you enjoyed the little video essay. Hit me up with a like or comment if this is a format that you would like to see more of in the future. Thanks for watching, I'll see y'all later.